Hey YouTube, today we're in the North Pole. We're going to be checking out where the elves hang out when not working with Santa. Hey guys, and welcome to Brick Talk TV. Terry here, and in today's episode we're taking a look at the Lego Creator Elf Clubhouse set, which is part of the Lego Winter Village range. This is set number 10275 and it consists of 1,197 pieces. This set was released in 2020 and currently retails for £84.99 in the UK. In the build experience, you start building off some of the supporting mini builds that come with this set, and then the rest of the bag see you build the various parts of actually the clubhouse building itself. If you're interested to see how the build experience pans out, then I have done a live stream of this build, and I'll stick a card up here and a link in the description below so you can actually watch back how this build unfolds step by step. But for now, let's flip over to the model itself and we'll walk through the actual features of it. So here's the set then in all its glory. As you can see at the front, you've got the mini builds which I talked about earlier, and these are where you start building the set from actually in the first few bags. Then you actually move on to this house, or the elf clubhouse. So we'll walk through the elf clubhouse in detail in a second, but let's move this to the side. But let's focus firstly on what you get as the mini builds. So inside the set, inside the first few bags, you'll find these presents which are built up from just basic plates and tiles with some 1x1 round plates to go on top there. This is similar to if you got the free gift last year for the Christmas tree that came out with that, some builds from 2019. Then you do build the Christmas tree here, and this is a collection of different angled parts that build up on some plates. And you've got this nice star piece at the top here as well to give you a nice star at the top of the tree. And that's a nice little build in itself. That starts you off. The baubles do get a little tricky, but and it could be a little repetitive because you do sort of do the same. There's two sets of patterns that you do on two sets of these, but it's a nice build nonetheless, and I did enjoy doing that. Then you move over to building the this computer here, which actually has its first sticker on, which is the nice list. This is a bit of an old-fashioned computer here, which I think Santa probably needs to update his IT if he wants to improve efficiency at the Elf Clubhouse. But nonetheless, it's a nice retro design here of a large monitor that you put together with the nice base for the computer itself. Interestingly, they chose not to use the keyboard tile in this set, and instead they've used the usual sort of gold bullion type tile, but with in white instead. And you build that on a nice little table that's nice and elf height, because obviously elves are slightly shorter. You then also build a couple of presents to put around the Christmas tree. So here you've got a pirate ship. It's a nice little genius sort of mini build there of how you build that up. You also have a keyboard, which does feature the new keyboard tile that came out earlier in the year, I believe. And I used that in a previous build. I think it's the Ghost House was the first one that I used that in. And that's a nice mini build. And then you've got this plane here, again, which is similar to the bookstore that came out earlier in 2020. You've got a little plane here that a child could play with a propeller on the front. So those are some nice toys to put around the Christmas tree. You do get an elf. You get several elves in this set. As you can see here, there are 4 in total. And here's one of the first ones. They've got their own moulded hat with some sticky out ears that stick on top of all of them. But each one is individually designed and they've got a slightly different face. Some have got some scarves. Someone's got a loudspeaker. This one's got some glasses, so I put them with the computer. And then, of course, what a lot of people will find really good is this final piece here, which is the reindeer pulling the sled. I did enjoy building this sled. It was one of the first little builds that you did as well. It's got a little jet-propelled engine in the back, I think, because there's some flames coming out the back. So I'm not sure if you actually do need the reindeer or whether you could detach the reindeer and just hold on to these handlebars in the front and use it as a snow ski. But this mould for a reindeer is great, and I'm sure that a lot of you out there will probably be collecting more of these to do some more Christmassy scenes in the future. The antlers are soft, so they're not hard plastic, I guess for safety reasons for children. So they do bend, but the actual body of the reindeer is hard, as you'd expect from a sort of a minifigure type thing. This middle section is usually hollow, and you build up several plates to give this saddle effect of a pulling sled. So those are the first few bags and the mini builds that you start your actual set build off with. And they're really enjoyable, and they really get you sort of in the Christmassy mood as you go through building the rest of this. I did build mine actually on Christmas Eve on the live stream, and I did have fun doing it. So maybe it's something for you to do if you get hold of this set. Maybe wait till Christmas or a family occasion and get the kids involved in building some of the features on this one. So let's put these extra bits to the side and we'll actually concentrate now on the actual house itself. So as I mentioned, a lot of the bags actually consists of the parts to build the house up. And of course, because you need to build a house from the ground upwards, that is exactly how the bags pan out. So you start building the snow base to start with, start layering up the walls. You start to finish with the roof. And then right at the end, you build this chimney right out here as well, which I'll go into in a bit more detail in a second. But as you can see in the front, you've got the elves, which you collect as you go through several bags. You start putting them together. You've got some nice features of a traditional fir tree here, which brings back childhood memories of the trees we used to get in Lego when I was first introduced to Lego way back in the 80s. But then the actual front of this building has lots of detail in as well. Of course, you've got this signpost here, which is pointing to the workshop or to the North Pole, which you build towards the end of the overall build. We have this nice wreath up here, made up of several green pieces stuck together, and you have to fiddle them around to get the joints in the right position to give this sort of wreath effect going on there. You've got a nice detail of a light over here with each windowsill has got some snow, and they've used a tooth piece here to actually depict some snow, sort of icicles dripping down. This nice round door as well, which is elf-like from sort of Lord of the Rings era, Hobbit kind of door here, which is a nice construction, and I think it works really well in this kind of environment. And of course, really stands out are these string lights here that's going up and down the house. Of course, these sadly don't light up, although I think I have seen some lighting kits available online from other producers. But these take a while to get straight and stick together as well. So these could be a little fiddly, maybe a little frustrating for some people. And you just clip these in place and they just hang naturally like this. There's no other clips halfway through. You just pin them either end. And there's two lots of rope here. And they stick quite nicely. There is a light brick included in this, but it actually lights up the inside of the house. So I'll show you that in a second. But over this side of the building, you can see this is where you can park your sleigh. And if you move this elf out of the way, you can see that there is a sort of a depiction of some tracks here where the sled has been already, because there's some smooth snow in the middle and some studded areas there. So you could put your sleigh in there if you wanted to. And then over this side is just an extension. And on the outside here, you can see there's actually a balcony where the elves can look at the stars and see what's going on, maybe see if Santa's coming back yet or not. So that's a nice little added addition to the build there towards the end as well. And then, of course, all the roof is in white because there's snow heavily falling on top. You've got a couple of eaves either side here, so some small roofs here and the bigger roof here as well. I did actually find this roof a little tricky to stick together, and I needed to fiddle around with it in order to actually get it clamped into place, and I did actually sort of have to redo it, and you can see that in the live stream actually where I struggled a little bit to get the roof going, but it's now in place and it seems to be doing okay. So that's the front of the elf clubhouse. So let's flip round the back and we can see what actually is going on inside. So inside the elf house, then you've got this chimney here which you can move, and there's actually got a hinge here, and actually if you wanted to detach it, you can unclip it quite easily and put it to the side. But this is a great build that you do towards the end. You can see a nice chimney going up here with a nice stocking that you can move into position here. But then you've got this nice little waffle contraption going on here, and you put waffle tiles in the top and they pop down the stove, and then they end up being produced onto a pan here that flips down, produces your waffles for the elves. And all you need to do to get this to work is there's a lever here that you pull up, it drops down a waffle, and then when the waffle's done, you just tip it out like that, and it just flops down. And then you just put the waffle back in the top to feed the machine again. And it's a continual cycle like that. So as the elves are queuing up, you can produce waffles for them to get their breakfast done in the morning. So then carrying on the waffle theme, then as you move into the first part of the house down here, you've got a little seating area with a plate with some waffles on and some cocoa or tea or something like that, and some mugs. So you can position the elf sat there. There's a sticker with an elf picture on top here that you stick as well on the wall just to give it some detail. Then as you move through here, there's a sort of a drink station here with like a coffee pot or some sort of hot water going on there. And then this side is a really nice little build, actually, and a very clever use of some door pieces to depict some wrapping papers. This is a wrapping station for the elves to grab the presents, wrap some paper around, cut off with some scissors, and get the presents prepared. And actually what you've got is a couple of doors in red and white going around down the back, and it gives the appearance of red and white wrapping paper with a roll where the door starts going down the wall. And then there's a little plain box on there at the moment, which is getting ready to wrap. So that's where the elves do their wrapping. Then as you move up to the next level, as I mentioned already, there's a balcony here where the elves can look out for Santa. And that's quite a nice part towards the end. Once you've got the roof on, you build that. And then this is where the main sort of thing happens up here. This is the elf bedroom. And so you've got a bunk bed with three beds on. So you can position 3 out of the 4 elves into position here. And then there's a mechanism that is operated by this clock here where you twist it and it tips the elf out of bed. So it's depicting like an alarm clock, I think, going off and the elf getting startled and then falling out. And I'll show you the mechanism in a second. But then also you've got a little dressing table on the side with a present and a cup, a little rug positioned there. And then at the top, you've got this little, almost like a wreath kind of thing where a little red 1x1 round with a leaf. And then this red button here, if you press it, actually does light up the top bunk. So when they're in bed, there's a little light brick there and you can see that is lighting up the bedroom. So there you go, it's all lit up and looking good. So that's where the light is. Sadly, it's not in the front with the fairy lights that are going on the front, but there's one in there. So then let's see this bed in action. So if I place an elf on the top bunk, pretending that they're asleep, then the alarm clock goes off and we rotate this and then they'll get thrown out of bed like that, ready for to go downstairs to have their waffles and get ready. And that's just a nice flipping action. You can flip it either way and it just throws the elves out of bed like that. So this is quite a nice little level of detail and a bit of playability going on around that as well. And then, as I said, you can close that up to that position if you wish, or you can have it on the side covering up where the sled goes, or you can detach it completely and have it stood elsewhere. There is on this side as well also some snowshoes ready for an elf to go out into the snow if they wish to. And then of course you've got the detail up here of some wooden beams. It's a bit like a ski chalet with some windows as well. And then you've got the snow on the windowsills of each of these windows as well. So overall, it's got a nice little Christmassy feel to this set. There's a nice level of detail and some playability parts here with the waffle machine and the bunk bed. And this was the first Winter Village sort of range set that I built as well. And so after building this, I have actually ordered the Gingerbread House. So I'll be sure to do a review of the Gingerbread House in the future as well. So hit subscribe if you want to be notified of when that video hits onto the channel as well. So overall, it was my first Christmas Village build. I enjoyed the construction. I did find, as I mentioned, the roof a little fiddly to construct and put into place. But this set is packed full of detail and additional little mini builds that start you off, such as the Christmas tree and the sleigh with the reindeer is a particular highlight for me. This is a great build to be doing around the festive period as well, and a great one to do with the kids perhaps. And as it's my first venture into the Winter Village range, I'm sure it's a great introduction for anybody who's not even touched the range yet to get involved and start looking at maybe collecting it in the future. As I mentioned, I've already ordered the Gingerbread House, so I'll be checking that one out in the future. And if you do want to see the actual how it builds together, then do check the live stream out, and I'll put the link in the description. So if you found this review useful, do hit that like button, smash that subscribe button to be notified of the future Gingerbread House review and any other Christmas Village kind of themed sets we do in the future. And until next time, stay safe and I'll see you then.